Hey guys, it's Crazy Comic Lady, and today I'm working on a diamond painting called Sibling Rivalry, and it's by the artist Krista Forrest, and it's legally licensed by the one with the diamond art. So I haven't actually done a painting from this company before. This is my first one, and it's got 50 colours, and boy is it confetti heavy. So I've been struggling a little bit to work on this kit, but I have actually filmed an unboxing of it if you guys want to have a closer look at the details in that video. I haven't edited it yet because it turns out I'm not very good at filming unboxing videos, so it's trial and error. So I want to add in a few close-ups so there's better symbol photos so you can actually see like what the quality is like. But hopefully that'll be going up soon. So how have you guys been? How was your Easter bank holiday last weekend? Did you guys get up to anything, or do you guys celebrate Easter at all? I don't think I did a whole lot that I can remember. That was last week. I can't remember things that happened a week ago. But yeah, I think this month so far it's been definitely feeling calmer than last month, because I really was feeling burnt out last month and starting to struggle with getting stuff done. But I've managed to get a handyman booked in to come look at our sheds that are falling down. And let's see, well, we had the new gardeners started. They were actually surprisingly good, so they'll hopefully be back on Monday. And we actually had a day of sunshine, or half a day of sunshine, last week. So I actually managed to get some of my seeds planted, because over 2020 to 2022 I was really into my veggie patch and gardening and growing food and freezing food. It was definitely something I really enjoyed, especially with everything that was going on back in those years. This year I'm not going to do as much this year. I'm planning on just doing some flowers, get my sunflowers out, because last year our greenhouse actually, it got really badly damaged in a storm that we had last year, and most of my plants last year, all my seedlings got eaten by slugs and snails, because the glass was completely broken, so all the creatures were getting into the greenhouse and just demolished my baby seedlings. So yeah, I think I was sort of put off after that experience, because also we had that huge heat wave in the summer, and that like killed a lot of my plants. So yeah, definitely scaling back the gardening this year. Do you guys garden? Interesting to know if there's any other gardening fans out there. But yeah, what else have I got done? Oh, I did have quite a lot of medical things come up the last 2 weeks. So I had my medication review, and the nurse was actually quite worried about so I'm just going to have to switch to a different colour, if I can find a different colour. So I had a medication review for the pills that I'm on, and they weren't really happy with some of my symptoms that I had, so they booked me in to see a doctor that day. And he suspects that I might have something called inflammatory bowel disease. So I got fun tests to take for that, which I haven't got around to yet. And also he had a look at my moles, and because we have a history in our family of melanomas. My mum has had nasty scares in the past. I think the last major one was back when I was 16, and that was quite a serious, massive procedure she had to have done back then. But anyway, the doctor, because of the family history, was very worried about it, and he sent me for an urgent referral to a dermatologist to have it checked out. And yeah, the dermatologist wasn't happy either and said, well, yeah, we're going to take that off. I was like, oh, I was kind of hoping they'd turn around and say, no, it's nothing, rather than, yeah, you're going to have surgery to get rid of that. Because with all my other health conditions, like, I'm terrified. I asked, can you just give me a general anaesthetic so I'll be like knocked out for the procedure? And they were like, no. You have to have a local one, so you have to be kind of like awake during the procedure. And I'm like, I don't want that. Oh yeah, sorry if that's like too graphic, if you guys don't like surgery talk and whatnot. I could show you a picture, but I think that would gross you out even more. My lovely mole on my back. So got that to look forward to. They said 6 to 8 weeks wait for the surgery on that. What else has happened? Oh, also with the bank holiday, the woman I spoke to who was supposed to be doing my medication review, she said she'd put in an order for my medication, and she didn't. And then, of course, we had the whole bank holiday and everything. I need more wax. So I completely run out of all my medication now because of the bank holiday and everything, and they still hadn't ordered it earlier today. So it's like, oh, come on, I ordered it. The doctor was supposed to have ordered it. I put an order in a Thursday, week and a bit ago, and I had to put another order in Wednesday. So it's like, come on, I want my pills, please. I miss my sleep. The one thing I hate about these particular diamonds, these are ABs, so they have like a sparkly coating on the top of them. They always end up pulling the wax out of my pen. It's so annoying. But speaking of drills, I think this is possibly one of the one with the Diamond Arts, maybe earlier canvases, because on the website I'm fairly certain it says somewhere that their drills are all resin drills. And my gut is telling me that these are actually acrylic drills, because there's an awful lot that seem to have like trash or like deformed lips or different sizes, and that's more commonly spotted in acrylic drills. But I know they had to go and specially hunt down one of these kits for me because it was a limited edition that had sold out, and they went and searched for this kit for me, which was good. So I think that might be why. Oops, sorry, I'm getting so distracted with I keep having to like get down here and squint. I'm surprised you're not like seeing my head or anything in the camera, because it's quite hard to spot where all the symbols goes. Anyway, it's still an alright kit. I'm not sure how the rendering on this is going to turn out, because there seems to be so much confetti. Like over here, these are trees. I'll just turn you slightly. But I'm not sure it really needs this much level of confetti. Like, I think a lot of it, they could have toned down an awful lot of these colours, but we will find out when it's finished. In other news, talking on more diamond painting related stuff, I actually broke this pen. This was my favourite custom made pen that I got from, I always forget, I've got the little name thing here, Jay's Hand Turned Gifts. I love these people, they're so nice. But I had a Diamond Art Club multi-placer in the end of it, and I was working on a square kit before I started this one. I guess I pressed down too hard and it snapped. Like, the multi-placer just snapped off it. I didn't know they did that. So of course half of it was stuck in the bottom of this, and this is made out of like really, really soft wood. So when I tried to get it out, first I actually managed to bend my tweezers. I'm not sure if that will show up, but there's a slight bend in it now. I did try and force it back straight. So I bent my tweezers. I still couldn't get it out. I had to get my dad to actually drill it out, and of course that damaged the wood. So I've had to do the washi tape trick, where you wrap washi tape around the end of the multi-placer to stop it wiggling around, because now, of course, the hole is way too loose. So I did actually order myself a brand new pen. So I went with a different colour. This is my new pen that I haven't used yet. I went with the purple wood. I think just from like feeling it, I definitely think I prefer the sandalwood one I got, because there's something smoother about it, so it doesn't feel as like hard when you're like pressing down and things. It's sort of got like a softer feel to it, whereas this one's a lot more solid. But I thought it couldn't hurt to have a backup, and I really like this colour specifically, so I'm glad I got to test out this colour. But now I'm kind of tempted to try like all the different woods and see like what all the different types feel like. Sorry if you're noticing tons of like pausing going on in the video. I keep getting these horrible coughing fits. I'm sure it's not the thing. Fairly certain. My friend has actually come down with that recently, last weekend. My friend Verity. So if she's watching, I'm sending you wishes, and I hope you're feeling better soon. I haven't seen her, so if I do have the thing, I didn't catch it from her. if I've caught anything, it's probably from doctor's surgeries or the hospital that I was at. So yeah. Oh, that doctor who was looking at my mole. Can't say I'm a fan of him very much. He smelt really bad, and of course he's really close to you when you're having your moles inspected, and it was like, yeah, you hurry up and be done looking at me so I don't have to smell you. Which is really mean and horrible to say, but it was really off-putting. He was quite rough as well, even though I said, I've got all these chronic pain issues and fragile skin and whatnot. He was still kind of like manhandling me. I was like, oh, gentle, I had surgery on that foot, stop it. Because there was other moles that I had that he wanted to look at all of them. So, but it's just the one on my back that he's concerned about. I'm sure I just saw a K. There it is. So the problem is I spot the symbol and then I can't see the symbol. All right. It's not easy to multitask doing this kit, I must say. In other news, actually, I decided, because I've been thinking about it for a while, but sticking another desk in my room just so I can have 2 paintings going at once. Because some of the kits I've got are so big that they just won't fit on this desk. So I actually went and I pinched my dad's, used to be his old coffee table from his first house that he lived in, and it's just been like a spare table we've had sitting around. So I pinched that and I've set that up. So now I can just kind of swivel in my chair and work on a different one to my left. In fact, I can just show you. Prepare to be picked up and given the tour, or I might just be able to tilt you. Okay. No, picking you up's better. Okay, so this is my current desk with all the many trays. So many trays. I have to have a tray for each colour. Otherwise, I hate it when you're pouring them out and then you thought you've got all the colours and then you realise you've missed one and then you have to get them. Yeah, I like having them all in trays. Right, so this is my new side desk. So I've got this could easily fit a 99 centimetre canvas on it. But it does mean there's no room now for me to get out or get around my bed or anything. But yeah, that was the painting back there. That was the one that broke my pen. And that's a square one that I'm working on at the moment, which has got these really pretty drills in it. Can I reach them? Yes. Stretching. These, I've never seen these before, but they're they're sort of crystal. They're different. They're not like ABs. They're almost, I don't know how to describe it, shine. Do they call them iridescent, I think? This is a Diamond Art Club kit, obviously, that's over there. So anyway, I'm going to put you guys back on your stand. And I can tell you a bit more about what's been going on. So I mentioned that my dog had to go to the vet. Turns out our other dog then had to go to the vet. Our 1-year-old puppy. So it turns out he's actually been vomiting up worms. And he's had his worming tablets. He's completely up to date with all of his wormers. But it's been an ongoing battle ever since we got him. The issues with these worms, it's just getting ridiculous now. But fortunately, they gave him this new powder to try out. And they think it's because he's such a scavenger, probably from his time when we got him. He was very, very malnourished when we got him. I can tell you the story of our puppy. How about that? So I guess I should let's start at the very beginning. Let me tell you about all of our dogs and how I met my partner and how we ended up with the puppy. So come back with me to 2016, journey back in time to when I first got my doggo, Cassie. So she was a puppy that I went up. It was a 4.5-hour drive to get her when I got her. And yeah, so I started going up the field, which is our usual dog walking field. And she's a Rottweiler rough collie. So I'm walking around the field, and in the distance I see these 3 massive black and tan Rottweilers. And I love Rottweilers, hence the Rottweiler collie cross I got. I always have Rottweiler collies, it's sort of my thing. So anyway, I see them from the distance, so I'm immediately going, I'm going to go over there and say hello to the Rottweilers. And this Rottweiler comes bounding up to me, and he's the happiest little thing ever. Turns out he was only 6 months older than my little puppy Cassie. I think she was like 4 or 5 months at the time when we met. And that's how I met my partner. So I remember that like really well, that encounter, and his little girl who was there as well, and she was 6 at the time, my stepdaughter. So I remember that because my dog, my Cassie, she was absolutely petrified. She was so scared of these dogs because they're so much bigger. One of them, it turned out, wasn't actually a Rottweiler. It was a Doberman Cross Labrador. But yeah, that was the one that Cassie was most scared of. And then Bono, the youngest, pure Rottie, she was very scared of him as well because he was really bouncy and bigger than her as well because of the 6-month age difference. So I remember that just so well, that whole encounter. And then every single time I saw them, it was usually on a weekend. We seemed to have the same time weekend walk schedule. So for an entire year, I had no idea what Aiden's name was. I was literally calling him the Rottweiler Man. Every time I see him, I was like, oh, I saw the Rottweiler Man today. For a whole year. And sadly, one of his doggos passed away. I was before I'd known him quite as well, but it was the one dog that my dog Cassie wasn't scared of, Poppy, who was an older pure Rottie. But yeah, that was sad. She passed away before I'd known them very well. But I was just so used at that point because I got to know them quite well after that first year. And it was so lovely because we had this, we called it the black, or I called it the black and tan army of all of our dogs. Because you had, you know, my Rottweiler Collie Cross, his Rottweiler complete full purebred, even had a kennel club thing, Rottweiler, and then his Doberman Labrador, also black and tan. And then you'd have our friend who we met through dog walking, an old lady, her name was called Alison, and she had this dog which was a shepherd cross something from Romania, and that was the spitting image of Cassie. And then you had another dog up there which was a smooth collie cross with the same markings, called Jake, and then there were these 2 other Rottweilers, one that belonged to a vet that was called Lottie, and then another one belonging to a trainee vet called Blue. So there were times where it was just absolutely hilarious, where we'd have our black and tan army of dogs socialising up the park, and certain people would just be too scared to come in the park to see us because we were there with our black and tan dogs. And it's like, you know, these dogs are the sweetest things ever, but people were absolutely terrified. If it was just me and Cassie, people would come up to me and say, oh, are the Rottweilers in there? I never go into the park if the Rottweilers are in there. And I'm like, they're fine. My dog's Cassie's a Rottweiler. It's just when she's not around other Rottweilers, she looks more like a collie. But when she's in the pack of black and tan, then she looks like a Rottie. So, sorry if I'm sniffing a lot. I don't know why I'm coming over all coldified. So yes, and then eventually my partner went on holiday. He was taking his daughter to Ireland to explore her roots, and I said I was more than happy to dog sit. I had learnt his name at this point, so he gave me a key, and I think that was the main turning point at that point, because after he'd come back from holiday, and I was like, "Do you want your key back?" And he was like, "No, I made it for you. Come around whenever." And I was like, "Okay." My key now, which I have accidentally left in his door on 2 occasions, and it's always bad when it's someone else coming into the house that finds my key left in the door, because I'm so used to my house where like I use the side access on my house and it's usually open anyway. But yeah, anyway, I don't do that anymore. I don't leave my keys indoors. I learned my lesson. So anyway, yeah, so I was dog sitting them when they were in Ireland for 2 weeks, and that was all right. I had the house to myself with the 3 doggos, and then I think it was, what year was it? I think it was 2020, was when the younger of the purebred Rottweilers, Bono, the one who was only 6 months older than my girl, he suddenly collapsed. He was in an awful lot of pain. Just went down like a lead balloon, couldn't get up. Is that the right expression? Lead balloon. Anyway, um, yeah, so he collapsed, and eventually he had to go for expensive CT scans and everything, and it turned out he had a birth defect that was affecting his spine. So he had like some dehydrated discs, and he also had some collapsed discs as well. So that started healing up, and we sort of, it by itself, it didn't end up needing surgery because it started healing all by itself. And then at the end of 2020, we noticed our other dog, Tara, the Doberman cross Labrador. Sorry, I was thinking about where my symbols were going on the canvas. She started losing a lot of weight very quickly. She was 17, so she was doing amazingly well. But she started losing a lot of weight. She didn't want to eat, even with cooked chicken and hand feeding her. And in the end, we just have to make the decision of it's time. We know it's time because you can see. And at that point, Cassie she wasn't scared of her anymore because we're going forward 4 years at this point now. Because Cassie had very slowly become the more dominant dog, because Tara was always pack leader. Cassie would never mess with Tara at all. No one messed with Tara. She was the head dog. But slowly over the years of knowing them, like Cassie had started to become more the one in control and more dominant over Bono, the younger dog, and she was the boss. Even though Tara and her kind of they respected each other enough to avoid each other, to not get in each other's faces, which was good. They all got on all right. And then, so we ended up losing Tara in 2021, when we had to take her in for the final goodbye, and that was so sad. And fortunately, because at that point the vets were not letting you in to veterinary surgeries because of all the COVID restrictions. So they took her in and had a look at her, and then they came out to us and said, yeah, we're fairly certain this is like liver cancer, and then invited us in to say our goodbyes, and we ended up just having to take our masks off because, crying and tears and tissues. The vet was very nice. She went and got us tissues, but it was peaceful. It was sad, but it was a peaceful parting. And then it was, fortunately, Bono, he'd never been on his own, because my partner and I don't actually live together. We live a few roads apart from each other, which is really convenient. But he did really well coping on his own because he'd never been on his own before. He's always had the other two dogs with him his whole life. So, but he did all right. He coped. And then by the end of 2021, we started noticing that poor Bono. So at this point, he's not even 6 yet. He starts going downhill, and I'm like, he's looking really overweight. But he was also just didn't seem to be breathing very well, and then he'd have these massive choking sort of fits, and then he'd throw up, and then his back would give out and he was collapsing. So it's like, well, it's going to be his back that's going to be the issue in the end, is what we were thinking of. We know he's got a back deformity from birth with these discs. So we assumed there was probably, that would probably be what would do him in the end. What we weren't expecting is for him to go so rapidly downhill so quickly. We ended up rushing him into the vets for an emergency appointment, and the vets took one look at him and went, his tongue is blue. Is his tongue usually blue? And we're like, no, because he'd gotten himself so excited because, oh, Van, I'm going to get to see people. So we got into the vets, and so they had a bit of a panic freak out and went, he's not getting any oxygen circling around his body. We're going to have to take him round the back and put him on emergency oxygen. And then at that point, they started ringing specialist surgeries. Of course, it's Friday night, and they turn around and they say, look, we recommend keeping him in for overnight care until you can see a specialist on Monday. And then they turned around and said, yeah, that'll be £3,000 per night. We don't have pet insurance. So we're like, no, we'll take him home. We'll keep him calm. It's only because there's new people and excitement that he's behaving, that he's breathing like this and not breathing as well as even he usually does. So we took him home, and I kept my dog away until we saw the specialist so it wouldn't excite him. And another tray required. So that was all very traumatic. So the specialist appointment came round on the Monday. They took one look at him and went, this might be a heart defect. We're not entirely sure. We're going to have to take x-rays, and then do you give us consent to go ahead with surgeries or whatever if we find stuff? And we said yes. And so what it turned out to be was, and we think it was when his back first went the year before, is he'd actually torn his lymphatic duct, and all the lymphatic fluid was actually draining into his chest cavity, which was pressing down on his lungs, which was stopping him from being able to breathe. So that was like, wow, that was more severe than what we'd thought. So they drained all the fluid out of him. Amazingly, he lost 3 kilos straight away just from fluid. That's like close to half a stone, so it's around 7 pounds. But that was wow. He looked like such a slim dog, but he came out of the procedure. He wasn't happy when we dropped him off as well. You could hear him crying in the distance. So we got the procedure done, and then they said, keep the bandage on it, don't make him lick it or anything. And before we'd even left the clinic, Bono had scratched off the bandage, and there was blood everywhere. So they had to then go and find this baby grow thing to put him in to stop him from scratching at the stitches and everything where they'd had to put the thing in to drain him. In fact, I've got a photograph of him in his little onesie, which was actually a real pain in the bum, because every time you'd had to take him out to do to go to the toilet, it was constant. Sorry, I'm just trying to find the photographs. I'm having to go back quite a long way. It was before we got the puppy. Yeah, you had to unpopper them, the little popper things, before you could go out to use the bathroom, and then you'd have to popper them back up again. Anyway, that was a right faff and a drama. And then by the time he'd started recovering from the surgery, he'd already started the fluid. There we go, I found it. See, in his little onesie, his little skinny boy. Yeah, so that was so sad when he looked so pathetic and little. But he felt so much better, because immediately he was like, bounce, bounce, bounce. I want to play, I want to play, I want to play. Yeah, which isn't great. Here's some more photos of him, like, on me. And yeah, he's very cute. Look in my face, as they do. So, yeah, trying to keep him calm was a nightmare. And then before he'd even finished healing, and that's my dog, Cassie. Before even the fur had grown back, we were back to square one, where the fluid had started building up on his chest again, and he'd only just recovered from that draining surgery that he had, and that was really expensive. My partner couldn't have afforded it at all, so I paid for it straight away, and then his ex-mother-in-law actually gave me half the money back, because she chipped in as well, because she loved that dog as well. But then I had a massive sell everything I can on eBay to try and make up the cost of this £1,200 surgery we just had. So I sold so much of my old Pokemon stuff. Like, I didn't realise how collectible the old 1990s Pokemon figures were until I sold them on eBay. And the same with the 1960s Action Men that I had. So that was good. But then, 3 months later, all the fluid's building up again. And it's like, if we're going to have to be doing this like it was less than 3 months even, it might have only been 2 months. If we're going to be having to do this every 8 weeks, I'm not going to have enough stuff to sell to keep on top of. And then I started looking into other companies that could help out with vet spills, and I even considered making a fundraising page, because they said there was a surgery, but the surgery would cost around £9,000 or more, and there was no guarantee that it would work. And in fact, a few weeks later, they actually turned around and told me, we've never ever seen that surgery be successful on a large breed dog before. So I was like, okay. So we thought, well, we're going to keep him for as long as we've got, and see how long we can stretch it before we have to make the decision of, I've lost a colour. There it is. Do we drain him again and spend the money again, or do we try and save up for the surgery, or what's going to happen? It was all very up in the air, and it was horrible watching him be so desperate to want to play, and yet he couldn't, because he'd get out of breath and he'd start panting and choking and not being able to breathe. So it was pretty upsetting. And then the decision ended up being made for us when my partner and I, Aidan, we were sitting down for dinner, and my stepdaughter, his daughter, had already eaten, and then she was like, Bono's trying to lick himself a lot. Because of the fluid in his chest, he couldn't turn round to lick himself properly. So I said, grab a baby wipe and just give his bum a little bit of a dab then to make him feel better. And then immediately she was like, there's blood everywhere. So I put my food down and went over and went, holy crud, that's a lot of blood. So that was the decision made for us, and that also explained why my dog Cassie, for the last few days leading up to that blood incident, she wouldn't go near him. She was like, and usually she loved Bono. They were like the best of friends. It was hilarious having our two doggos that we really thought would, being the same age, they'd grow up and grow old together. And poor Bono had only just turned 6 at this point, and now we've got blood everywhere. So that was lovely to deal with during the middle of dinner. And then it was, we're going to have to get him into an emergency vet appointment. And they said what had happened was, because he couldn't bend to keep himself clean because of the fluid building up in his chest again, he couldn't get round to clean himself. He developed an abscess that had burst. And they were saying, well, there's no guarantee that this is going to heal up even with antibiotics, which means we'll have to put him under anaesthetic to wash it and drain it out properly. At which point it's like the fluid is building up on his chest again. And when he went into have it drained only a few months ago, they said there was a high risk that he wouldn't even survive the draining because of the anaesthetic and the pressure on his lungs and his heart. So we had to raise the question again of, well, if it does come to that, what do we do? Because he's not going to survive having to go under anaesthetic to get it cleaned out. And then it was so upsetting is the fact that I had to raise the question with them and say, is this really worth it for his quality of life now? And she had to turn around and she said to me, what is it you're asking me? And I was saying, and I had to say, do you think it's time? It was the fact that I had to push for it, just because we were looking at another massive vet bill when we've already know that we've got, even though he's the best dog in the world, we've got a dog that not only has a deformity back problem that he's had since birth, he's got a lymphatic duct tear that isn't healing, and a surgery with no guarantee that it would heal anyway, on top of £9,000 £800 plus for just the surgery, and that's without all the back issues that we've got, and now we've got this abscess as well. And I had to turn around to her and say, I think we need to draw the line somewhere, because he's just suffering now at this point. This isn't quality of life. He hadn't been out for a walk for 5 or 6 months because he just got too excited and he couldn't breathe and we couldn't walk him. So that was really, really sad. And then they went and they got the stuff and agreed that, yeah, we'll put him down for you. And it was absolutely heartbreaking because he did not want to go. He put up a fight. He struggled and he whimpered and he pulled the needle out of his arm and got blood all over the floor. And it was just so upsetting. Tara, who we'd lost the year before in 2021, she was peaceful. It was really easy and she just drifted off. But Bono fought. He didn't want to go. He felt his time wasn't up yet, and he really put up a fight with the vet, and that stays with you because I just felt so guilty. Like after that, the guilt was awful of going, I should have done more. We should have just paid to have the surgery and paid for this. And, my partner's having to be the voice of reason and say, at the end of the day, he is, he's a dog. And how much can we justify spending on a dog which we know has so many problems? It's not fair on him to keep having him drained every 3 months if he has to go through that procedure all the time. But it didn't help with the guilt and just feeling so awful about it for a long time. And I didn't actually tell my partner just how guilty I felt because, at the time I was literally feeling, my partner must hate me. I've killed his dog, because I was the one that pushed the vet in that direction, because they were just happy to keep on, have some antibiotics, have this, have that. It's like we didn't have pet insurance on him. And the money, vet bills, they add up so quickly. So, yeah, I didn't tell my partner just how guilty I was feeling about Bono. And one day we were just sitting and watching TV, and he turned to me and he said, "Thank you so much for saying what you did to the vet." And at that point I was like, really? And then I came out and I said, I'm feeling so guilty over it. And he was like, no, I couldn't bring myself to do it, is what he said. He just couldn't bring himself. But it was what was right. We couldn't keep letting him suffer just for our benefit and throwing so much money at it when we know we cannot save this dog. And the fact that the vets had even turned around, because I'd brought up the surgery with them before we talked about putting him down. And I said, again, I asked them again about the success rates on the surgeries. And that's when she told around and said that she'd never seen a large dog have a successful operation to repair a lymphatic duct, especially when it's a big bouncy dog, because it rips open again. So it was so upsetting and so expensive. And that expensive procedure we bought 3 months. So at least we bought some time to say goodbye, but it was not easy because we knew it's coming. A lot like Tara, we knew it was coming, but at least she'd lived a full 17 years as opposed to poor Bono, who lived 6 years. And he was very expensive, and he was a kennel club registered pedigree with all the certificates and everything. So that really hurt. That left such a huge hole. And my dog reacted to Cassie. She reacted so badly to losing him, even though the few days before she hadn't want to be near him, probably because she could smell the infection that was going on from this ruptured abscess in his bum. But she reacted so badly. Every time I went to my partner's house, she'd be going around every single room looking for him, finding his dog hair under the coffee table and eating it. And when I would come back to my house in the evenings, she wouldn't settle. She wouldn't go to bed. She'd whine. She'd cry. She couldn't be on her own. She had to be like, she was sleeping in my room. That was the first time ever in 6 years that I just let her sleep in my room, because it was just going on for hours. She just wasn't settling. So dogs feel grief too, or maybe she was picking up on my grief as well. But It was traumatic, and I think in hindsight, I do this thing. I did it when I lost my previous dog, Rolly, who was also a Rottweiler collie. But with him, the decision was made for us because he literally just collapsed on the patio and couldn't move. So losing Rolly was sort of an easier loss in sense. But losing Bono was difficult beyond words. I think if anyone's lost a pet, then you probably know what it feels like, 'cause it's like losing part of your family. So that was that. And then what I did when Rolly died, and it was the same when Bono died, is I immediately went into the whole, let's search on Gumtree and Pets for Homes and Battersea and all the dog places. Just, it's almost like a subconscious thing of maybe I'll magically find Bono and he's still alive on a website for sale. It's like, no, your dog's gone. But it's just a grief thing of you want them back. You want to fill the void. So a few months went past, and it was getting close to my partner's birthday in June. And we'd been talking about getting another dog, and my stepdaughter had asked us, "Are we going to get another dog?" Because, in the space that I've known them in 6 years, we've lost 3 dogs in 6 years. 2 of them were back to back. So now it's just down to my girl Cassie. And we said, yes, we will get a new dog. Hopefully a smaller dog this time, because my partner's worrying about the cost of bills and everything. And at the time, even before the massive increase in cost of living increase happened, but he wanted to get a smaller one, so it would be slightly cheaper to feed and slightly, hopefully, less expensive in general. So we were doing a lot of searching, and we've been going to some dog shows. I'm trying to find a colour. That's the colour I'm looking for. We'd been going to these dog shows, and Cassie won, loveliest lady, first place. I let my stepdaughter just take Cassie round into all like the competition things. So she won, was it 4th place in one of them, and then she won 1st place in loveliest lady and got a prize goodie bag. And then we went to some, I can't remember, that might have been, no, we went to Dogfest. I don't think we won at Dogfest, and then we went to the Millbrook RSPCA Doggy Open Day, and we got to meet some of the dogs in the shelter that were being walked around the event, which was very interesting, because then the dogs we've seen on the website we got to see in person, and with my dog Cassie there, because she can be picky on her friends. When we went to Dogfest, she got so excited over this one Rottweiler that she saw from a distance before she'd even got up close to it, because I think she thought, it's Bono! But then when she got closer, she realised it wasn't, but she was still happy to see the other dog. But the excitement calmed down as soon as she sniffed it and realised that's not Bono. So we didn't want Cassie to lose socialisation. We wanted to be able to get the dogs out again, because it just felt wrong somehow after going from between us having 4 dogs to having 1 dog. Didn't feel right. So we decided what we'll do is, Aidan had quite a few days off for his birthday weekend. We'll see if we can find a dog for sale, and we'll surprise our daughter with it. We won't tell her about it until we're driving up to see the puppies. So we went hunting, and I'm very, very picky about the kind of dogs I have, whereas Aidan isn't. He'd have anything that's, anything. Whereas I'm black and tan, Rottweiler collie. That's my type of dog, and that's what I have. So yeah, I was literally just looking at, Bono and Cassie lookalikes, whereas Aidan was looking at anything. And we kind of came across these puppies. They weren't too expensive. They weren't too far away. They were lurcher German Shepherds. And let's see if I can find the photo. I'm going to show you the photograph of what we thought these puppies would look like. The picture that was on the website compared to what we actually came up with. I just found the last video I have of poor old Bono. Poor old Bono. You can see how hard he's breathing there and how, like, inflamed this part of him is. And there's my girl Cassie back there. That was the very last video of him. Yeah. Oh, I've got some outside videos of him as well. But anyway, poor old Bono. He loved his stick. He did like his stick. Anyway, I was looking for the puppy photo to show you. Here's a picture of Cassie with her rosettes from when she won first place in the dog show and the runner-up. Oh no, she got third. She got third place and first place in that one. Yeah. So that's what the picture looked like on the website. That wasn't exactly what we saw when we turned up. So we were greeted by, I'm not sure if you can see on this little scrawny thing, right? So you can see every single one of his backbone down here, right? That is his pelvis bone sticking out. Every single bone of his tail was fully visible. He was starved. He was covered in like just scabs and scars from his brothers picking on him. See, that's what we were expecting. That was his mother. That's what we got. And he was so underweight. The vets were absolutely horrified. We turned up there not expecting to find puppies that were half dead, lethargic. This one, who they had called Socks, he crawled into my lap. I sat on the floor. He crawled into my lap and then didn't get out. He was older than they said. He was around 14 weeks, hadn't been vaccinated, hadn't been wormed, hadn't been fed. He had this massive, like, swollen, hard rock stomach because they'd fed them really quickly before we turned up to make them look healthy. But yeah, he was not in a good way. So there's a good picture of him next to my dog Cassie. Just how absolutely tiny and emaciated he was. You can see, like, his back legs, all of this bones. And he was so ill. He was just so unbelievably ill. My dog just took to him immediately. Like, I think this was like their first encounter. And yeah, she just loved him. And she mothered him completely. She shared her toys. She shared her food. She absolutely adored him, which was good because he made our life a miserable existence. Yeah, between us, we've owned 10 dogs and 5 puppies between Aidan and myself. That's my dad right there. And none of us have ever had a dog with this severe separation anxiety. It was appalling. Like, you couldn't sleep. Because my partner was he was supposed to be my partner's dog, so he had him at his house. And he just didn't sleep and he was barking and howling and crying all night. And I thought, oh, it can't be that bad. I'll take him then. I'll have him at my house. Yeah, then I really understood what Aidan had said when he said, yeah, this dog won't stop barking, howling, crying. It was awful. Oh my God, it was so bad that after 3 hours I went downstairs and I slept on the kitchen floor just so that I could be sure my parents got some sleep. So I was up all night because, of course, this puppy, it wasn't okay for me to just sleep on the kitchen floor. No, I have to sleep on your face. Yep. I'm like, no, you're getting off my face. No, I'm right back on your face. It's like, I'm not sleeping like this. You're not sitting on my face. Push him off again, and he's back on my head. Oh my God. Eventually he settled down by my legs, but this became, we don't believe in the whole, like, yeah, you shouldn't give in to your dog's demands like that, because otherwise they'll never get past the separation. But I mean, the howling and the barking and the crying on this was so severe that we had to. And I was just so... My partner's birthday came around. Obi had been at my house. We called him Obi-Wan Kaboni because he was so skinny. that's what we ended up calling him, Obi-Wan Koboni, because we'd just seen the new Obi-Wan series that had come out. Yeah, so oh, it was an unpleasant time, and he's still not perfect with it now, and we've had him getting on for a year, not quite a year yet. But boy, that's just, oh, I think I've got some videos somewhere where, like, as soon as I realized, okay, this is pretty bad, we went and we got him a crate, like, straight away. So my partner had him for a night, I had him for a night, then my partner was doing his, like, birthday barbecue. We were supposed to be having people around, and I ended up, like, not being present for, like, most of that barbecue. I just was like, I need to go sleep now. You can have the puppy during the day. Because my partner, he's a delivery driver, he can't work on no sleep. So the puppy that was supposed to be my partner's dog sort of became my dog, and the sleeping didn't get any better. And we got him the crate. We got that set up in the sitting room. I had to bring down a spare mattress that I had, that I put downstairs, and I laid it, you know, near his crate. But even when I was only 30 centimeters away from him, he was still crying, barking, whining. And it's like, I'm 30 centimeters from you. If you stuck your paw through the bars, you could touch me. But no, it was just on and on and on. I'm going to try and find the video to show you kind of sort of what it was like. Also, this video is hilarious. Right, there he goes. Bye-bye. He still does that now, and he's 3 times the size. He's really stupid. But, sorry, this is really turning into a dog chat now. Oh yeah, there's my bed set up in the sitting room. It was like immediately stole it, and I was like, nope, you sleep in the cage. This bed is my bed, and that's our sofa, and that's our living room. So, because we did actually, my mother and I started alternating between which one of us slept downstairs and which one of us slept upstairs, and sometimes she'd sleep on the sofa just so that I could get a good night's sleep, because as soon as I'd slept, you know, you get up, you let him out for a wee, I wait for my parents to get up, or my mother, wait for my mother to get up, and then I'm like, okay, you mind him while I go and get dressed. Baby gates mean nothing to this puppy. Even though he was tiny and underweight and malnourished, he would find a way to jump over the baby gate and then come upstairs and find me in the bathroom. And then, of course, because he had such severe stomach issues, he would then have diarrhea all over the floor on the landing upstairs on the carpet. So then, of course, he can't get down the stairs on his own, so I'm carrying him down the stairs wearing barely anything and be like, right, you guys look after this thing while I go and deal with poo. And this happened so many times, and it was like, oh my God. Potty training him felt so much more difficult than my dog Cassie. My dog Cassie just got it straight away. So he ended up being my puppy on Mondays to Friday afternoons, and then my partner had him Friday night, Saturday and Sunday, and then brought him back Monday morning. And then he was my problem again till the weekend. And I was like, this doesn't feel like a shared dog. This is starting to feel like a me dog, and it's exhausting having Cassie and Obi. There's another good photo of them together sitting on the green bed. And oh, I found the videos. Let's put the volume up really high.
Obi, I'm right next to you. Still here. Haven't gone anywhere.
And then give it 30 seconds and he starts crying again. It was absolutely ridiculous. So imagine
30 seconds, I'm still here.
But it was ridiculous. I mean, it sounds funny on the video, but in person it was very, very loud, very, very high pitched, and it would go on all night. imagine having a newborn baby and just that fatigue and exhaustion that comes with that. That's what it felt like. It was so difficult, and that was the only time my partner and I have ever, well, more to point, the only time I have ever lost my temper and yelled at my partner was over that blimming puppy, because it was just destroying everyone's sleep and mental health at this point, because not only is it constantly sick, the vets had actually, they told us he'd been born with worms already, because they didn't think the mother had been treated for worms, and that's why it didn't matter. It took months to try and get these worms and this diarrhea under control, and this very expensive medication. And now look at him now. He's huge. He's bigger than my dog. But he's still not great with the separation anxiety. He's better than he was, but now my partner, he has to sleep with his bedroom door open. He's on a converted bungalow, so he sleeps downstairs anyway. And he has to leave his bedroom door open so that Obi can hear him breathing at night. Otherwise, you get the crying and the howling and all of that fun stuff still, even though he's a year old at this point now. But it's awful. Eventually, after like 6 months or however long I had him at my house, I was like, I cannot do this anymore, because it's getting to the point now where he was getting bigger. He's starting to annoy my dog, and the barking, and then the early starts, and eventually I stopped having him in the evenings, and Aidan would drop him here first thing in the morning, and then sometimes my stepdaughter would drop him down on her way to school. She'd walk him to my house, and then the school is just up my road, and then there's the school. Same school I went to when I was her age. So that was the puppy. So we're a year on, and guess who's been vomiting up worms again? The puppy, who is no longer a puppy, but we cannot, even though he gets wormed and flea stuff every single month. And now he's got worms again, and some worm tablets he throws up. He's now been given this really strong powder treatment, but to put in his food. But it's just been, he's been a lot, and he's turned into a very large dog. We were expecting, he was a Lurcher cross German Shepherd. I can't remember if I said that, but we were expecting him to be smaller than he was, because he was only quarter German Shepherd, but he's now bigger than Cassie, and he's 27 kilos already. He hasn't finished growing. He has no concept of like social boundaries with other dogs. So my dog, it's hilarious now. After loving him as a puppy, she now like has to tolerate him as a young adult. And the pictures I've got are absolutely hilarious, where we say Cassie is smiling at him because she bares her teeth and is like, stop it, get out of my face. See, they loved each other back then. They were hugging each other and everything. It was so cute. They just curl up together and play. And now she's like, get out of my face, because she mothered him so much when he was little that now he thinks he can get away with whatever he wants. So, okay, I got it. See, she's smiling. And he takes that as a sign of, oh, you're showing me your teeth? I will lick your teeth clean for you. So, yeah, it's hilarious, because he doesn't know personal boundaries, and she doesn't tell him off. She just smiles at him like that, and it's like, well, you're gonna have to tell him off, because he's never gonna learn otherwise. And we always have to intervene now to kind of, because she starts getting stressed out when he's just constantly on her the whole time. He's like, play, and she's like, no, I'm 6.5 now. I'm too old to play. Leave me alone. So, yeah, but her love of him at the beginning is what kept him, because we were really, really struggling, and we both say, this is the biggest mistake we've ever jointly made together. Because, yeah, we've got plenty of experiences with puppies and dogs, and none of us have ever had a puppy with so many issues and so many problems and separation anxiety. Cassie never had that. She was fine. It was with her, it was everything else, like the car or suitcases or lawnmowers or motorbikes and buses. Yeah, she was scared of everything else outside, whereas he's just scared to be Obi's just scared to be left on his own. So sorry, I've been talking your ear off constantly about dogs. If you guys love dogs, you might have enjoyed this whip and chat. If you don't like dogs, then I'm really sorry. So that was our, back to the vets yet again, but this time for the other dog. We're part of the Healthy Pet Club with him, so all the flea and worming and 6-month checkup and everything is free because we pay the monthly charge on that. So, which, given how problematic this dog's stomach's been, it's a good job that we are, because boy, trying to get that dog healthy, it took so long to get him to a decent body weight as well, especially because he was just so unwell with all the worms and everything at the beginning that he just wasn't gaining it very quickly. At least it didn't feel like he was. And now it's like, wow, how do we get a dog that's so big? And my partner actually turned to me a few weeks ago and said, if I had known how bad the cost of living crisis was going to be and how, the way it's gone this year, he would never have got another dog. It's fine. It's, we share the responsibility of it. If there's anything like with Bono, I can dip into my house fund for stuff. And I think I've still got some Pokemon figures I can sell in the event of an emergency. It was quite hilarious, the bidding war that ended up on my 1990s Pokemon figures. I was not expecting that. So I think I may have got to the end. Are there any puppy stories left I haven't told you? Apart from the diarrhea. The diarrhea on the carpet. It was so bad I actually vomited and then had to swallow my own vomit because I didn't want to add to the mess that I was having to clear up. But, dog stomach issues when they're a puppy is not fun. Not fun. Especially when they can also jump the baby gate. The baby gate means nothing to them. My dog's never been able to clear that. Or never even tried. Whereas Obi, boing, lurcher genes, jump over anything. So, yeah. Do you guys have dogs? Do you guys like dogs, or are you guys more of a cat? Do you prefer cats? I've always been more of a dog person, but I'd quite like to get another cat because I actually grew up with kittens, because my sister, I'm not sure if I've told this story once before, but my sister got a kitten just before I was born. My mum was pregnant. Didn't realise it was a girl cat. The kitten got pregnant very quickly, and then of course she had a litter of kittens around the same time I was born. So all my baby photos are pictures of me with scratches all over my face because the kittens would just play on me. So I grew up with cats until I was 16, and then we got my first dog, which was a rescue, which was the Rottweiler Collie, which ironically my partner remembers, because I'd never properly met him until I got Cassie, my second dog, but he remembers me from 10 years ago, from meeting me 10 years ago, and I'm like, I can't believe you can remember me. I don't remember you. But he turned around and said, yeah, I remember because of the hair, because I have very distinctive hair that kind of stands out because it's a very unusual colour. And it's very long, and I usually have it all crinkly. But he remembered me because of the hair, and apparently I smiled at him. I don't have any recollection of smiling at my partner 10 years ago, before I even knew who he was, but apparently I did. So apparently I made an impression and it stuck, which I think is just hilarious because I have no recollection of you whatsoever. But to be fair, I smile and I talk to everyone. The other day when I went down to get the newspaper, I just started talking to the old man behind me in the queue because we were talking about enjoying the tiny bit of sunshine while it lasted, because we've had mostly rain so far this month in the UK, April showers. And then he tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Oh well, I can't enjoy the sun without one of these." And he went and he got a 6-pack of beer. Yeah, you got to enjoy that sitting in your lounger. But yeah, I do typically just tend to talk to random people. I think it's because I didn't have a smartphone for so long. So I'd get bored. So if I'm waiting for a bus or train station or just wandering around, I randomly just talk to people. Sitting at a bus stop, you talk to the person next to you. Sitting on a bus, you talk to the person behind you and miss your stop, which did happen to me once. But yeah, so many people were just so engrossed in their phones, and I'm like, I'd rather just randomly talk to someone, even though I have really severe social anxiety. just when you're kind of just sitting there, like, or in hospital waiting rooms, I will, if I make eye contact with someone, then I'll just be like chatting to them. And yeah, if I've got something organized where I'm meeting people, I'm then in a panic and anxiety ridden and I can't talk to anyone. And yeah, if it's spontaneous at a bus stop, I can. It was really bad. I had this encounter. Can't remember when. I think it was before Christmas. Of this, I sat down for the bus stop, and this woman who's really miserable. She starts banging on about, oh, my family don't care about me. I've got no money. I can't afford food. Have you got any money? Can you give me some money? And I legitimately didn't have any money because I only carry cards. And I told her about this food bank place that's up in near where I live, and I suggested you could go there or you could come and join, because of it being winter. I said the church did a warm day where they'd have the heating on in the church all day for people who couldn't afford the cost of gas and electricity. The church had a warm day where you could go and take your kids, or anyone could just turn up to this to get warm. But no, she poo-pooed all those ideas, and she was like, oh no, they were really mean to me in that church once. And eventually I made an excuse and didn't get the bus from that bus stop because I was like, I can't, this is too negative even for me. Because I'm very affected by people's emotions, so I try and avoid being around people who are too down, because it will bring me down very quickly, because I don't know, I just get brought down very quickly. I like to try and keep happy and go. Anyway, afterwards, I told my friend about it, my friend Verity, my church friend, and she was like, "Oh, is that the woman in?" I can't remember what colour coat it was now, with the stroller. And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds just like you're describing the person I met." Yeah. Oh, it was a yellow coat. That was it. She was like, yes, I know that woman. She's an alcoholic. She used to ask me and my father for money all the time, and my father would let her come round and use the toilet and stuff. I was like, I'm very glad I didn't get guilted into giving her money then, because I don't like to, because of my sister drinking too much and everything, I don't like to encourage that kind of destructive behaviour. So I'm kind of glad I didn't give her money, although I felt really awful that I didn't. But it helped me feel less awful knowing that my friend Verity and her dad, who are very, very religious, they didn't give her money either because of knowing that she was an alcoholic. So anyway, I can't even remember how I got on. Oh yeah, I just talked to random people. Oh, I got dung, ding dong. Okay. That was to do with my Managing Emotions course, because I'm supposed to be starting course 3. That was a text message I just got. I'm looking for number 6. Why can't I see my tray with number 6 in it? There it is. Yeah, I've decided that I'm not going to do the 3rd Managing Emotions course this month because the dates ended up conflicting with my CBT training that I've got at the end of the month. And I was feeling just so overwhelmed at the end of March that I decided I think I will do one at a time, because I don't think I can take on much more than, one at a time. And now I've got the fun joy of waiting for my surgery on my mole. Yay, I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. So check back here in 6 to 8 weeks and I'll let you know how it went. I asked my partner Aidan if he would take the day off work to hold my hand, because I'm going to be a big baby, because I have such a low pain threshold. I'm like, can you take the day off work and hold my hand? He was like, yeah, sure, no problem. Because they also said I can't do anything like walk the dog or do anything too strenuous afterwards until it's all healed up. So I swear I just saw a question mark symbol and now I cannot for the life of me see it. That's what's been driving me mad about this kit, is I see a symbol, I go to get, there it is. I go to get the colour and then I cannot find the thing again. It's making it go so slowly, which is why I've got that other canvas set up so that I can switch between the two of them. Yeah. Should be good. Right, so I think I've told you all the puppy news. Hopefully the new worming stuff will be good the dog and get him healthy again. Stop dinging, phone, I'm busy. Do you guys ever get that feeling where your phone goes off and it immediately like triggers panic anxiety and you're like, oh no, I'm going to have to deal with something or reply to something? Or is that just me? It might have just be me, but sometimes I get that. I'm like, I don't want to look at it because it means I have to deal with responding to something. And I've run out of wax. There we go. It wasn't picking it up very well. Anyway, I hope you guys are having a brilliant weekend. Can't think of any more puppy stories off the top of my head. I think I given you and chatted your ear off for over an hour of all that news, and let's hopefully not have any dogs pass away for a while, because that just felt like the dogs all going at once. It felt like a lot, especially during the lockdown periods and everything. It was just, yeah, it's so sad. It made me very sad about one day it'll be Cassie's turn, because she's now middle-aged now, and yet it feels only like 5 minutes ago that she was that tiny puppy who was absolutely terrified of Aiden's dogs, my partner's dogs, because she wouldn't come near. She was so scared of Tara that she would not come near us. I'd go over and cross the field just to hang out and chat with my partner, and yeah, she would be like 20 feet away and would not come closer at all. It took months and months for her to get comfortable enough and not scared to be able to come up and be fully part of the pack. But you know, our times change, and now she's pack leader and everyone knows it, unless you're Obi, who doesn't seem to know it, and she doesn't tell him off. She's too soft on him. Really, Cassie, you messed up with being a mother on that one. You over-babied your child and let them get away with everything. But I mean, she would have been a brilliant mother, because originally it took me so long to get Cassie spayed, because my plan had always been, I want a litter of puppies, and that was mostly my own thing. I think a lot of that was, I'm not sure if I'll ever be able to have kids, so I'd love for my dog to have babies. So I was, and then of course the lockdown happened, and then her health kind of fell off a cliff because she kept getting these awful phantom pregnancies, one after the other, and she was just having these such horrific mood swings, and it was so hard to detect when she was in season, because she didn't make a mess. She was so clean that the only time I would know that, oh, she's either in season or she's having a phantom pregnancy, was when she'd suddenly lose her temper with a random dog for no reason. I'm like, right, so that's what's going on at the moment. Back to the vets, more medication for that. And in the end, the decision had to be made, because I couldn't let her keep on suffering with how bad they were getting. So no puppies from her. Ironically, her sister, I'm still in contact with Cassie's sister's mum. And she has a very similar problem with her dog, and not so much the phantom pregnancies, but the seasons being so unpredictable and hard for her to spot, and the temperament issues. But she'd said that she'd love to have another dog, another Rottweiler collie. So it's nice that I'm still in contact with her. I did see a picture of Cassie's brother the other day, who looks the spitting image of her as well. All those puppies look so similar. Cassie was the only one which had like almost no white on her. Most of the others had either a white paw or white scruff or white bits somewhere, whereas Cassie was, she only had a tiny little white down her middle, because originally they'd wanted to either keep Cassie or Cassie's brother Max, because they were the ones with the more rotty markings on. So when I got Cassie, it was just luck, because when I messaged them about Cassie, I didn't get her from the same place I got Obi. Obi came from Gumtree, and I've learnt the lesson of never ever shop for puppies on Gumtree ever again. So Cassie actually came from Pets for Homes, the website Pets for Homes, which I think is slightly better, but I'm not sure they were brilliant, because the original owners were quite pushy of wanting them to all go at 7 weeks or earlier. In the end, I pushed it to 7.5, but Cassie and her brother were the only two left. Because when I'd originally messaged to get information about them, when I'd seen them on the website, they'd already all been sold. Cassie had been reserved and everything, twice the reservation on Cassie had fallen through. So when it fell through the second time, they contacted me and said, hey, the reservation on her has fallen through again. Do you still want her? So I was like, okay, I want a Rottweiler Collie. You've got a Rottweiler Collie. All is good. We're going to finish this section together while you're still with me, because I'm chatting you off about dogs. Have you maybe gathered that I really like dogs? Big dog fan. And my mother actually, she used to have a old English sheepdog called Joey, and unfortunately they had to get rid of poor Joey when I was born because she was petrified of children to the point of aggressively petrified. So newborn baby and dog that is aggressive towards babies. Yeah, unfortunately she ended up going to live with my mother's ex-husband. Took Joey on in the end. So she lived a full life, and she went with someone who knew her. But that was so sad because I would have loved to have grown up with a dog, you know, one that didn't want to bite my head off. So yeah, I can't remember where I was going with that. I'm sure I was in the middle of a different story, going off on tangents. Anyway, I will probably let you go now. I can always talk to you about dogs another time and bore you to tears. I hope you're having a good weekend, and you had a good Easter last weekend, and hope all your pets are well and healthy. Let's end with that. If you've made it all the way to the end of the video, so close to finishing this tiny little section, but I can't find... Oh, there's my twos. Let's just quickly finish this together. If you made it all the way to the end of the video, how about, I'm going to say probably a puppy emoji, since I've been talking probably, I don't even know when I pressed record on this, so anyway, yeah, we're going to go with puppy emoji if you made it all the way to the end. Hopefully I'll have the unboxing of this kit coming up soon. I'm sure I just saw 5, yes, there. Right, now I need a 3, a hashtag, an R, and a D. I don't think I've even seen the Ds yet. Is that a D? Oh, no, that's the wrong kind of D. Anyway, I guess I'll just finish this bit. Tiny little section, just like there and there. I'll just finish that bit off camera. But anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, can you give it a like, on maybe leave a comment, or all those fun things? Tell me about your weekends and all that stuff. I'm giving you some thumbs up because I am. Anyway, see you guys all soon. Bye.